Happy Ramotsav! Ayodhya will become the spiritual capital of the world, not of India, not of Asia, but the global spiritual capital will be here in Ayodhya. This is truly a once in a lifetime event, none of us can deny it. I had come to Ayodhya as a young child and had seen Ramlala in a tent. And this is the first time I saw the temple from outside, and it was quite emotional. I just came out from the darshan, and I can't describe in words the experience that it was.
Hello and welcome. I'm Abhishek Singh. You're watching The Mint. 22nd January is now etched in the nation's memory forever. With the Pran Ptatishta or the consecration ceremony for the Ram temple now over, doors of the temple have been opened to the invitees. Soon, other pilgrims will also be allowed to visit the temple. And within weeks, Ayodhya will find itself on the global map as the most visited religious tourist destination, leaving Mecca and Medinah, Islam's two holiest sites, which receive roughly 3 million pilgrims annually, and the Vatican, which receives a footfall of 5 million visitors annually behind by miles. Ayodhya is expected to receive 50 million people. Yes, 10 times the number of visitors to Vatican annually. And that represents a huge opportunity for the country's tourism, hospitality, and travel sectors. To talk about that, we have somebody joining us from the Ram Temple in Ayodhya, Ritesh Agarwal, founder and Group CEO Oyo, who has just stepped out after darshan. Ritesh, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here, and happy Ramotsav.
Happy Ramotsav to you too. And before we start talking about numbers and figures, let's just first talk about your experience of the darshan.
Look, I think there was much anticipation for me. I started my journey from my home state of Odisha by heading to Jagannath Puri a day before, and then today made it here. There was a lot of anticipation. I had come to Ayodhya as a young child and had seen Ramlala in a tent. And this was the first time I saw the temple from outside, and it was quite emotional. But going in, I think this is probably one of the prettiest sculptures you will see. The architecture that has gone in, every little work that has gone in has been incredible and sustainable. So it was a fascinating experience. I just came out from the darshan, and I can't describe in words the experience that it was.
You went on a bit of a mini tour of the country yourself. You started, as you were mentioning earlier, your trip in Puri, and then you ended up in Ayodhya for the darshan. And something also which was done by the Prime Minister, because he went from one temple to others, and eventually he also ended up in Ayodhya. So what was the inspiration behind your trip?
So look, I think first off, Honorable Prime Minister is an inspiration for every young person in India, or every person in India and the world. But I think there were two things. First is, of course, I was inspired by him. But the second, every time there is something special that I get to be a part of, I try to make sure I or somebody in our family does make it out to Jagannath Puri temple. Last year at the wedding, somebody from our family, my mom went there. And this year when we were having this unique opportunity to be at the Ram Mandir consecration ceremony, I tried to make it out there. It was just a unique experience. I stood right outside the Patita Pavan area of Jagannath Ji's temple and made a short update. And I'm so glad that I could come here with the few things that I brought from Jagannath Puri temple.
All right. Who are you traveling with, by the way? Are you traveling alone?
Yeah, no, I think in every place I have met few people. So when I was in Puri, I've met a bunch of my colleagues and team members who went along with me to the Jagannath Puri temple. Here, I'm traveling with a couple of colleagues, one family member, and of course, made a bunch of friends from the entrepreneurial ecosystem of Ayodhya too. It's amazing that there were people standing outside and they figured that, there was an entrepreneur, and they came by, said hello, and we spent more time together.
Right. And something like this, the number of people who have assembled, the kind of grand event that it was, a lot of people are saying we'll probably not even see something this grand in our lifetimes again, perhaps.
Yeah, look, I think first off, this is truly a once in a lifetime event. None of us can deny it. Because, for instance, if you look at I'm 30 years old. In the last 30 years, I don't remember of an event that was so remarkable in Indian history. I received at least 20 different messages from people outside of India who were following it very closely. In fact, one of my friends, who's an Israeli, is visiting Banaras, Kurukshetra, and Ayodhya purely by the excitement of today's, inauguration and Pran Ptatishta of the Ayodhya Mandir next week. So I just feel like this is an incredible once in a lifetime event. And I think that all the many generations ahead of us would be envious that we are getting to see it, but they'll also be happy that they did some work for us to be able to see it.
Right. This date has definitely been etched in the country's memory. Having said that, let's talk a bit about business now, because this is, of course, going to give a huge boost to the travel, tourism, and hospitality sectors. And as I mentioned, I mean, there's a report which was published by Jefferies recently. It said that 50 million people are expected to visit Ayodhya. So, what do you think about that?
No, like you mentioned as well. I think that Ayodhya will become the spiritual capital of the world, not of India, not of Asia, but the global spiritual capital will be here in Ayodhya. And I, of course, am thankful that I got the opportunity to experience it on the first day and have the darshan of Ramlala. But I think that's going to be true for millions of other people around the world who are going to come around here. It will mean great things for business, whether you're in the business of hotels, taxis, supermarkets, restaurants. I think all businesses, which will be, or even temples, flowers, and many other things around the temple and around the spiritual economy will flourish. I'm absolutely sure about it. Already, for the last 2 days, it's been impossible to find a place in Ayodhya because everything's sold out. But I'm also surprised the speed at which new infrastructure is getting created. So I think it's going to be great, not just for India and Uttar Pradesh, but I think it's going to be special for the people of Ayodhya, who will see that their incomes will increase, their lifestyles will evolve, and truly, Ayodhya Nagari will be as prosperous as it used to be earlier.
Now, these millions of people, as and when they visit Ayodhya, will need places to stay. Oyo, at this point in time, I think has about 65 properties. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're absolutely right. We have 65 properties today. It's a combination of our homestays as well as our hotels, because really at the speed of which Ayodhya is getting built, it was hard to be able to build new hotels. So we did two things. On one side, build converted hotels, but on the other side, converted homes as well. I'm pretty sure that over the next year, we will get it across 400 properties and make sure that for anybody who comes to Ayodhya or any other religious destination, they find great places to live in with us.
So what is the kind of number that you're looking at? How many do you intend to add to the existing 65?
Yeah, I think we have clear plans of making sure that the 65 goes to 400.
All right, and will these properties be discernible, will be distinct from the existing Oyo properties, considering, as you were referring to it, it is going to be in the spiritual capital of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there will be a few important things. The first one is we try to make sure that as many of our properties are as close to the temple as possible. The second, we will try to make sure that they're in locations where you have a sense of the local Ayodhya culture as much as possible. And of course, one feedback we have often gotten, which we have not worked in, but we are in the process of launching, is how do we make sure that food is arranged in a manner which is palatable for religious travelers. But I think we will have a multi-brand approach. We're going to have our hotels, we're going to have homestays, but we're also going to have our upper segment hotels like that of Oyo Townhouse, Collection O, and few others, because there'll be spiritual pilgrims from all kinds of segments and income streams.
All right, my last question to you, Ritesh. Now, religious tourism, when it comes to India, is considered the cornerstone of the overall tourism industry. Keeping that in mind, what is the percentage of travelers who stay with Oyo? And if you have that kind of a number on your fingertips, and share that with us so that we can sort of, contextualize this opportunity.
Absolutely. Look, I was in Banaras a month back. Like I mentioned, Jagannath Puri a couple of days back, today in Ayodhya. I am seeing that the interest and excitement to travel to religious destinations is rising rapidly. And what is special is that the youth are making the difference, which means that young people have faith, and that's driving a lot of these tourism impact, because they come for peace, they come for being a part of pursuing their faith. So today already of our business, in which we have tens of millions of customers, roughly 1/4 of our customers are between pilgrim cities and large families, which means that 1 in 4 users are staying in Banaras, Rameshwaram, Tirupati, and Somnath and many other places such as this. And I feel that this number is bound to grow. It's not just the case for me and Oyo. I think it's true for the broader hospitality industry, that as faith grows, It will enable economies of those local towns, including the travel and tourism industry, like the Jefferies report mentioned.
All right. On that note, thanks for sort of, we flipped the roles for a while. You are on ground. You have the Ram Mandir in the background. You're doing the reporting from the ground. I'm sitting in studio and asking you all of these questions. But good talk. And thanks for joining us, Ritesh. Thank you so much.
Anything for our friends. And I want to definitely end with Jai Shri Ram. Thank you so much.